Hello, chefs. Good morning. We are back again. I'm Isaiah, the young Jedi chef, here with the Dragon Warrior chef, German Lamb, and the Phoenix Warrior chef, Noreen. We will be your host for today's podcast. You are listening to a unique podcast where we will discuss tough yet real topics that need to be heard in the industry. In this podcast, you will hear the truth real, raw, and unfiltered. Today, we have the honor of having Chef Mark with us to talk about his journey and the lessons he has learned and the things he has had to sacrifice over the years as a chef. I'm excited to get started and jump right in. So without further ado, I'll let the star of our show, our guest, Chef Mark, introduce himself. Chef Mark.
Morning, everybody from South Florida. My name's Mark Connolly. Last August was my 55th year in the kitchen. I started off 14 years old doing dishes with one of my older sisters while she was in college. Went to a small culinary school, uh, and I ended up doing a European apprenticeship with a chef from Fauchon in Paris for almost 3.5 years. I worked Boston for 10, 11 years, and after that, mostly in private clubs. And right now, you never retire from this industry, but I'm in South Florida, freelance as a chef. I came down years ago I worked at the Everglades one season after I retired just to see if I liked South Florida, which I did. And I ended up hooking up with some chefs down here. And so now I could get a call later on today, but I usually end up getting 4 or 5 events a week on the island.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. We're super excited to have you, Chef, hear all your experience, hear all your stories. That's part of the industry. We dedicate our lives and our passion and everything we have to it. So through that comes a lot of lessons learned, a lot of experience, and a lot of lives that we impact. So I'm super excited to hear all that you have to offer. And really this industry, each individual kind of has their own story that they have to it. But one thing that we all share is the passion and the love for what we do. So there's nothing in life worth having that doesn't take any sacrifice, commitment, or dedication. And these three things really give or what you give up, but you get gain so much more from the sacrifice that you give out. So today is all about sharing stories and recognizing the rewards that we have received in the process. So in order to tell this story, we must really start from the beginning. So Chef, we want to kind of know your how you got started. So how did your journey in the hospitality industry start? When did you realize this is something you wanted to dedicate your life to?
So when I started my sisters were in college. We lived in Boston. We had a summer house in the Cape. My sister was waitressing, and I remember the call. She called me. It was in August, 55 years ago, and said they need a dishwasher. So, and this is a true story. I remember walking in the back door. I'm not going to say the name of the restaurant. There was a heavy, heavy chef with a cigarette going. He was making potato salad in a big bowl. And I walked in the door and he said, "Are you Conley?" I said, "Yes." I remember a cigarette ash fell and he kept rolling, mixing. So I was like sort of shocked. I mean, I was a child, but I mean, never exposed to the industry at all. Started doing dishes a year after that. That after that summer, I started doing prep and I worked my way up. And then I knew then I always saw in the back hallway a chef's coat, and I said, I want to wear one of those coats. And the industry was different then. It was, everything was back then. I mean, people did prime rib and seafood, baked, scallops and oysters. It was simple. There was no really, even when I went to school, it was either you worked in like a, it's not saying anything bad about it, but like a 99, or else you worked in a French kitchen. My goal was always to work shoot. I always shot for the stars. I wanted to be, even as a young kid cooking in the line, I always clean, neat. I never got involved in, cigarettes or drink, never alcohol. I drank a, little bit when I got older, but my focus was food and food only. I wanted to be better than everyone in that kitchen. I came in early, and that followed through when I went to school. I worked in Boston, and I remember I was a night chef in Harvard Square, and I worked, my hours were like 2 or 3 to midnight on weekends. And I commuted from the Cape, from Plymouth. And I remember I'd wake up the next day like 9. I'm like, I got to get back into work now. I never get paid extra. I got it was 6 days a week. I worked, late hours, but I ended up going in early and every day because I wasn't on top of my game. And it wasn't about a money thing. It was about, I wanted to be the top guy in that kitchen. And that's the way it was. And then I ended up, taking over the chef job. And then uh, we opened a French restaurant in Newton. But it was always about keeping your foot on the gas.
Hmm. Yeah, I love it. And I think that's a lot of chefs and us on the call could even relate to that. You know, you start off in that position of either prep or dishwasher, and then you see all the flames, you see everybody cooking on the line, and you aspire to be like that, you know, and not only be like that, but be better than that, you know. And that's what really drives you.
And I worked, I did my apprenticeship, but I mean, I was a good worker. I cared about food. When I worked with the guy, his name was Lucien Adrian. He changed my life. But I walked in that kitchen. I'm like, I felt like I was out of place because I'm looking at the food they're doing. I'm like, this is like nothing I've ever seen in my life.
Mhm.
And I'm like, nope, and I gave that guy 150%. I gave my heart, and we stayed friends till he passed away in his 90s years ago. But I
Mhm.
mean, I wanted to be that good. I mean, it wasn't, like I said before, it was never about the money. It was about the passion and,
Mhm.
putting a plate in front of someone and they know that you created it.
Yeah.
Always being on a platform, like who made that food. Same thing happens down here today. I mean, I always want to, my food, I mean, I sent, German a picture the other day. I did a party and I still have that. I want to make sure, I want to do the perfect dish.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's a lifestyle. It comes from your heart.
It is. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize about this industry that are out not in it is it's not about the money. You know, the money will come. It's more about the sacrifice at
Absolutely.
first. If you put your all into it, if you love it, if you give your everything to it, the sacrifice, the money will come, you know. It's what you put into the dish and the joy that you get from watching people enjoy it is really our
That,
money for now, you know. And then
yeah, 100%.
exactly. Yep.
You
And
nailed it.
yep, yep. The benefits will come later, but it's really if you give your all into something, even cutting onions, you know, if you have a if you don't care about cutting the onions, the whole dish is going to be ruined. But if you care about how you cut the onion, if you care about the small details, it'll add up in the end.
Small details. I mean, like you said, when I worked with Lucien, he always said to me, "Don't worry about money. The money will come. It's what you
Exactly.
put up, what you put into it." So, I mean, I always, not my parents, but more Lucien. I gave more than I get paid for. And even today, I mean, if I go to someone's house to cook over here, if they say, get here at 12 o'clock, I'll be there at 8:30 because I'd rather be way ahead. And the thing is, especially where I am right now, I mean, you're always on a platform. I'm at my age too. I still love it, but I want to do better than anybody that was walked in that door of that house before, because they're gonna see like you said, the little details. They're gonna know someone out back. Not that you meet everybody. Sometimes you never meet the people. Sometimes you do. But I always say to myself, they're gonna know whoever's in that kitchen cares about what he does by the way the plate is, by the way the food is presented and put together, the taste, eye appeal, it all falls into place.
Everything, all the details matter. Chef Lamb Noreen, what's your take?
No, I love this question, and I love that we're really talking about the passion and the inspiration. Like that is something that is really unique to our industry and I really, really love. And it's that moment when you meet people that are like-minded, that are passionate about food, they're passionate about what they're doing, the detail orientation, like the dedication, that camaraderie comes with the food industry, and I really love it. I appreciate it. It's something that has really drawn me into the industry, and it kind of always was in the back of my mind, like always wondering. And after some time doing something that I loved but wasn't truly passionate about, I'm glad that I pivoted into the industry so I can meet people like Chef Lamb and Chef Mark and learn from them and see how it inspires them, and how, even you, Chef Mark, like your face lights up when you talk about food and your job. And I really it inspires me. I really appreciate it. So I love this. This is like why I'm here, and I love it.
I'm glad, it's nice to see people. I mean, you're always learning. I don't care if it's from you. You'll pick up, even at my age, I'll pick up something from somebody. But I mean, my wife always said, and I got married late in life because of this industry. I had kids late in life, but my wife always said, you'd probably work for free because she knows how much I still, I mean, I go into work, even at home, I may work part-time, but I go in like early in the morning. She goes, why are you going in so early? Because I want to be, even at my age, I want to be on top of my game. And I mean, I can tell, talk and chat with everyone here today that, you know, people like ourselves, we're unique. Some people that they're happy with status quo. I was never, ever happy. I wanted to push, what I mean? I wanted to be the elite, you know what I mean? And still, even today, I did some things last week and I took pictures and then it was, I want to make that perfect dish. Last week was some of the nicest stuff I've done. Then the next day, if I work with other people where I'm like the number 2 or 3 guy, and I'm looking, I'm like, I'm not in a position to critique anybody because it's their show and I'm just helping. But some of it's mediocre. There's a couple guys down here I've met. Their food is like amazing, and I can tell it's from the heart. It's not just a job, it's a lifestyle.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely, it is.
Yeah, I think like you said, when it comes from the heart, and when you put your all into it, it could show. You know what I mean? Your guests are able to tell. You know what I mean? And that's really what drives you when you're running off of 2 hours of sleep. It's that your heart is what keeps you going. It's that passion is what keeps you going. And a lot of people don't understand that, even in high school, growing up, working 2 jobs, going to school at the same time. My family didn't understand that. But a lot of people, if you're not in the industry, you don't understand the passion is what drives you. It's that love for it.
But the thing is, you got to think, like, everyone in my family does different things. My oldest was a surgeon, went to Harvard. My other older sister was a COO of a hospital. The other ones are in nursing, one's a chemist. I mean, but I chose this, and I've never ever in my life second guessed it.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I was here to. This was my thing. I always knew that, even as a young kid in the kitchen, I put out cleaner work. I was always picky about everything, and I'm like that with everything. Everything in life is the same with me. My everything I do is I take care of everything. I'm specific with it, like a type A.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
that's how
this
you
is
become. Yeah, everything has to be perfect in the kitchen. Everything, you know what I mean? That's what one thing
labeled.
about this
Oh
industry. If it's not perfect, it doesn't go out.
no.
You hear it if it's not. So, and nothing gets past the chef. So either way, that's how it is. That's
So
why.
I love that about, because I mean I
Yeah.
love seeing people that are still passionate about this thing. Because yeah, the reward, what the reward is for me, like, you put a plate out, even at my age, I put it out and I'm like, nope, and I know if it's 8 people, I know that even if they've traveled the world, they're going to get something very unique. I mean, you know what I mean? Because I'll spend an extra hour making something, making sure that dish is going to be memorable.
That's what it's about. Chef Lamb, what's your take?
Well, you know what? I'm going to call Chef Mark, aka the Bruce Lee, because, without the body, mind, spirit, and food, he would not be able to have that, love of lifestyle. Because right now, if you look
True.
at him and, you can look at his features. I mean, to me, the eyes tells a story. I would love to call him a chef party, but I can't. So, I mean, so, to me, that's the beauty of this industry, right? Because you do meet people around the world, different age, and we learn from each other. You know what I mean? So one way I call it, this is like the fountain of youth, that you want to live to 100 years old, have some, have some friends that are Chef Mark, Chef German Lamb, because far as, we'll share our stories, but it's really that simple, because cooking, it's really so simple. And where do you want to take it to? you know, but at the end of the day, when you eat it, you got to fall in love.
Agreed.
100%.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. You know, German. I mean, I still like German. I had discussed this before. I mean, I walk average 4 or 5 miles a day. I still live 5 days a week. I don't, you know, my lifestyle personally is healthy. I eat healthy. I never abused alcohol. I don't drink at all now, but I never abused it. I never smoked drugs. No. But I mean, the thing is, German knows as well as I do. We've lost some good friends in this industry. Not more to like smoking and things. The older guy. I mean, when I started in the kitchen, guys were smoking on the line, cigarettes. I'm like, dude, this is gross. And I knew that as a child. It wasn't. But the whole industry's changed a lot for the positive as well. You know.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Like how you take care of yourself outside of work determines how you're gonna perform in work, you know? Like if you're smoking on the line, how are you gonna taste the food the best? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It messes up everything. So it's one of those things where back in the day people didn't think about that, but now I think
No.
we're starting to really take that into consideration, you know? And our craft is getting more refined because of that.
Yeah, but the thing is, people. I mean, you think today. I mean, when I go to someone's house, or even in the kitchens. I cleaned when I worked in the French kitchen. Every day was lineup, so we had to shave every day, fingernails. You know, everyone was clean. I mean, my aprons was not for wiping your hands. I mean, these guys were strict. I mean, our
Mhm.
clothes were always clean. You can't go out covered with you know you're wiping your hands on the apron. I mean,
Mhm.
it was just a different. And there's still a lot of young guys today that are just like that. You guys went to the best school in the world. I mean, you know,
Yeah, I
but
remember lineup. Yeah, making sure your nails are cut, making sure
yeah.
you don't have no sauce on your apron, all that stuff.
No, no, that'll
Yeah,
stay with you forever. It has with me.
yeah, it does. Yeah, and it makes you better. It just shows that you care. You know, if you show up sloppy, you're gonna cook sloppy. You know what I mean? But
I
if you
agree.
show up neat,
Agreed.
yep, you're gonna
Agreed.
cook neat. It all is all a mindset. And like we were talking about before, this industry requires a lot of sacrifice. You know, a lot of time away from your family, working on holidays when most people are enjoying them. We're there to make sure they enjoy them. So this industry is very sacrifice based. But so that's going to lead us kind of to our next question. What is the biggest sacrifice that you have made, and how did it pay off in the end? Chef Mark, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So, I mean, well, you know, the thing is, I mean, obviously, I got married late in life because I put my career, you know, in first place. I mean, you know, eventually, I got married and still married 35 years. But you have to. I had a plan where I wanted something unique, but I knew at 25 or 20, and when I was younger, I wasn't ready to settle down because I was too driven in this industry. And you know, you tell someone you're going to be home at 9 o'clock at night, and you show up at midnight
Mm,
because I wanted to get my feet dug in deep in this industry. You know, I got married late in life. I had kids late in life, and all positive. It was the best thing I ever did. I got a great family, great wife, great kids. But I mean, you're right. You miss a lot of holidays. You know, you're going in and out. Yeah, I mean, I worked over. I think German might have said as well. I worked in Japan,
mm,
so I had a. My daughter was maybe not even a year old, and I had to go overseas. And I worked in Kobe and Toyama. I worked for a Japanese company, so I had to leave my family. And when my daughter was young, not for a long time, 4 months maybe at a time. But you miss your siblings, their kids' birthdays. You know
mhm.
what I mean? Because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, if I don't go in, and everyone has birthdays, everything's on weekends. Everyone has events on weekends.
And that's when
You
you're
can
busy.
me. That's when you get that's when your nose is down. You're going. A
Mhm,
lot of people, everyone we're chatting with today, understand that, but a lot of people like, oh, you can't. You missed my kid's birthday. I
mhm.
did, but moving forward, as I get older, I mean, I made more time. But when you're trying to make a name for yourself, and you want to things, you miss those things. Do I regret it? Yes, a lot of it. But I mean, even kids' birthdays, my own kids. I mean, I'd have to leave work. I remember going when my daughter was born. I told my wife, "Don't call me till your water breaks."
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I literally, and I have pictures of my chef coat going up to South Shore Hospital in Weymouth. Both kids were delivered and I had my chef clothes on.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind you miss, but hey, I mean, I don't, no regrets. I mean, I made it to where I am today.
Mhm.
You know, some people never understand that. Probably everyone would today will. But I mean, after that, I mean, I always left work, to birthday parties. I'd leave and have to go back.
Mhm.
Uh, my son was a hockey player. My daughter did theater and arts. Same thing. I'd go to to the shows that she was on in my chef clothes and have to go back to work. But some people, I mean, for me, if I left work, it didn't come, and then even when I left for like 2 or 3 hours to see a show or a hockey game, I'd come back and it would take me an hour to get my brain back in the game. Like even here in Florida, they said you can leave for an hour or two. I'll say, don't pay me. I'm staying because I don't want to. I want to be on top of my game. If I come back, it takes me too long to get back into it.
It does. Yeah, it does. And you could be missing out on so much, like so much in an hour or two, you know what I mean? The
Oh,
opportunity to help a chef, you could learn so much you could get on his side. It's all about the small things, and 1 or 2 hours makes a big difference in the kitchen.
yeah, yeah. But when you leave,
Hmm.
even though it's your children or your family, whatever, your mind is always rolling in the back going, okay, I wonder if they did this. Did they sear off? We got a wedding for 200 people. Did they sear off the tenderloins or the salmon? Am I going to come back to a shit show or am I going to walk in and everything? And the people that worked for me in the past, they knew if I came back and everything wasn't what it should have done. I mean,
Hmm.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
work out well for them.
Yeah, exactly. Your mind is always on, regardless of
It
where
never
you
shuts
are.
off. I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking, okay, I got to do a party for 10 tonight, but these people are really, special clients. I'm thinking the whole day how to make it better.
Waking up at night with ideas and all that. That's what
Oh,
it's about.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your mind never sleeps. The chef's mind goes, man. It go, go, go.
Yeah,
You don't know. You got
uh,
one speed,
yeah.
you know,
One speed and that's on.
that's
That's
it. The
it.
switch, once you flick it, that's it.
That's so true. Noreen, what you got?
No, I'm so glad you said that because sometimes I feel like a crazy person because I can't turn my brain off when I'm not at work because I'm wondering about this ingredient. Oh, this season's vegetables are going to come in. What are we going to do with it? Oh, how are we going to run this special? We have menu change today for our winter menu, and I'm off today. So now I'm like, okay, when I go in tomorrow, what is there going to be? Am I going to have to do this? And I have friends who are like, can you just not think about work when you're not there? And I'm like, no, I can't. Sometimes I can, but most of the time I'm just always rolling. So I'm really glad you said that because I think sometimes we get shamed for caring about our work. I think in modern day, not everyone has a passion for their job, and that's okay if you don't want that. But this idea that like you have to leave it at work, you don't need to think about it, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. Like it is though. It is a big deal for me. It's something I care about, something I love. What's wrong with that? That's like the beauty and essence of life is when you find something you love, you hold on to it. It's not just people and activities. It can be your job too. So I love that that came up because that's literally what was going in my mind this morning.
I love that. The thing is, like, my family, my immediate friends. I mean, I'm the only one that does it. Well, I have a friend that worked for me for years, and I work for him now. But people will never understand this industry and the sacrifices we've all made, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying because I still like I have a party tomorrow. As we're chatting here today, I'm like, I hope everyone. I'm working for someone else. I'm just like a number two guy, but I'm like, hopefully I walk in tomorrow. I would have rather work today, but hopefully tomorrow I'm trusting these other people to make sure all the stuff's ready when I walk in. So I'm nervous about that. So tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'll go in an hour and a half, 2 hours early to make sure because I want to be even today, I mean, I'm almost 70. I still worry about that because I want to do the best job I possibly can. And it's nice to see that in everybody else, that someone has that, other people still have that passion. And all you people I'm chatting with today, we're all unique. There's not like a lot. There's a lot, but it's a small group. It's a small circle of people that really, really care about this industry that much and what you're putting out on a plate, you know, and I love it.
No, it's awesome. And I gotta say, Chef, first, you said almost 70. You're looking good. You're looking about, yeah,
No,
20.
no, no,
Keeping
no,
you
no.
strong.
Hey, you gotta, hey, like Chef Lamb said, eat clean,
Yeah.
you know, take care of yourself. Because that's when you walk, I don't care if the restaurant, club, private residence, you walk in, you want to look, you don't want to be 450 pounds. Number one, you won't live that long. But people look at you when you walk in. German knows this as well. They look and they say, this guy takes care of himself, you know?
Yeah, you could tell. Chef Lamb, what you got?
Well, you know what? My viewpoint is with a student of the game in the system in the hospitality world. I mean, like you hear the good, bad, and ugly, and think about, you know, when you have celebrations like, you know, families, special moments. But what it does, it teaches you about, you know, what life is, and you really appreciate each of those moments. So when the when the time comes and you're in that event, you really embrace it. You know what I mean? So instead of talking about missing it, you really we don't take this for granted. And this is where I look at it, it's like you really got to be the student of the game, and you really have to think of, okay, you know what are you going to do? There are consequences, right? And consequences actually are good because it's going to make you better for the next, you know, decision making that you are going to say, am I going to make or am I going to miss? So to me, this industry, it's great. It's the way you select and you choose. Just remember that you're the one that's in control, right? Because if you could be in an environment and suddenly you're not there with your family and celebration, you could exit and you could actually pivot and go into another position that doesn't suddenly take away that love that, you know, this industry does, you know. So that's my, you know, that's what I have learned in the industry. That it's great. You just have to study.
Yeah, and I love what you said, Chef, about it's a choice. You know what I mean? You're choosing to be there. You're choosing. You chose this industry, and that's, you know, that's kind of what comes with it. Yes, you do need work-life balance and things. You need a life outside of work, but you know the industry that you chose, you gotta realize that's how it is. So that's super important that you mentioned that, Chef Lamb. So really with the sacrifice, with the dedication, also comes lessons learned. And in this industry, on a daily basis, we're always learning something. Like you said, Chef Mark, no matter how old you are, you're continually learning on a daily basis.
Every
What
day.
are what are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned so far?
Me, number one, the most important thing, show up on time or early, you know, keep your work area. Like even today, my roots go back to the French kitchen. I mean, I keep everything lined up in front of me. My work area is always spotless. And that follows through with everything I do in life. My vehicles, my house, everything's the same. You know, be on time. Don't look at the clock, you know, worrying about, well, I get, you know, am I going to get out of work at 9 o'clock? No, I mean, you know, uh, my, there's no real schedule to this. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I work 9 to 5. You don't. You work. Yeah, I mean, even the other day I did a 14-hour day. You leave when the job's done. You can't just walk off and leave a mess behind for someone else. But I mean that those lessons in life follow through with everything about your whole lifestyle. You know what I mean? I'm early for a root canal because of this. You
Yeah.
know, every doctor visit, I'm early. The guy's like, you're 20 minutes early. Well, that's how I am. You know, it's a lesson in life. Everything is, I mean, our whole lives, all of us, everything evolves around time. You know, we don't punch in at 9, punch out at 5, or whatever, you know, the case may be. it's just the way our lives are. You know, there's
Mhm.
no really schedule.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think for me, that's one of the hardest parts is because you see everybody coming in, you see everybody leaving, and you're still there. You know what I mean? So for me, that is something that can be difficult, but then you got to remember why you're there. You know, you got to remember why you're there, and it's a bigger reason than not. So I think that's the hardest thing. But like you said, that's one of those things in the industry. A lot of people outside of it don't understand. You know, they could clock in, they could clock out, go home, and not think about work. Us, they clock in, we see them clock in, and we're still there. They leave, we're still there. But that's how it is. That's the industry.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, I think this industry has lost a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
talented people,
Mm-hmm.
because the work life, balance, it's tough. And is it for everybody? No. But I mean, the thing is it, do I wish I changed? Yeah, sometimes I wish I spent more time doing more things with my family, but it was just the way I was brought up and trained. My whole mind thought differently. And it's like I said, it's not for everybody. It's a lifestyle, and some people accept it, some don't. I was lucky where I met a woman that she understood my drive and how things were. And, when Germanos in the old days, ACF competitions, I'd be up for 3 days. I wouldn't leave work. It'd take me 3 months to make a centerpiece out of tallow or salto. But sometimes I'd work till 3 in the morning making a piece. And I knew like at three o'clock, I'm like, I'm done. I got to go home. But I and I was engaged and I wasn't married, but I just remember as we're chatting out, thinking of those days that, and then before you get ready to go to the show, you're up for 3 days. You're doing aspect work. You're making sure everything, whatever category you did, and it's a tough life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it is. It takes a lot of sacrifice. Chef Lamb, Noreen, got about 5 minutes left. What you got?
Yeah, no, just listening to everything you guys are talking about, and even in our previous discussion about sacrifice, something I'm learning and I'm still honing in, but big lesson for me is to be intentional. You have to be intentional with your time. You have to be intentional with your prep. You have to be intentional with your tools, the way you talk to people, what time you show up to work, what time you leave, what time you taking a break, what are you doing on your day off? Who did you call to maintain your relationships? Like everything in your life has to be intentional because our time is sparse. And it's something I'm still learning how to do, even like with the holidays. I keep getting the same question, and it sounds like I'll be getting this question for the rest of my life. Oh, are you going to be around for Thanksgiving? Are you going to be off for Christmas? Are you going to be off for New Year's? And every year it's like, no, that's the busiest time. There is no way I'm going to have time off
Oh,
during that time. Just let that one go. Not going to be home for Thanksgiving. But that means I need to be intentional to do friends and family or whatever kind of celebration we want to do, maybe before the holidays, after the holidays, phone calls, FaceTimes. I have to be intentional because every second of the day has to be accounted for when you're this busy.
Mm, I love that.
agreed.
I love that. Yeah, being intentional with every decision is key, really, and making it purposeful too is super key. Like you said, making the phone calls when you can, FaceTiming when you can, doing stuff like that. And I could relate, even with my family. You're not coming home, you're not this, you're not that, but they don't understand because they're not in it. They have vacation time they could take weeks at a time and get still good. But us, it's a lot different. So that's just the life. Chef Lamb, what you got?
Well, you know what? Having Chef Mark here where he's opening his heart and sharing his story. Well, guess what? At that 14-year-old dishwasher saw a view, but then mentors came into his life and planted seeds. And now you look at him and he nourished himself, the body, mind, spirit, and food. And I always talk about this. It's the hardest thing to achieve because at that 14 to 70, that's a big gap. The question is, how many mentors have you met in your lifetime? And to me, I'm like, as many as I can, because they're going to give you a different recipe of approaching, cooking, life, managing who you are. And to me, that is the gift of our industry.
Agreed.
100%, 100%.
Yep.
We have about 3 minutes left, Chef. To finish us off, what's one last piece of advice that you might have for a young chef?
Go to work early. Go to work clean, neat. Keep your mise en place, your tools, everything in order, clean, you know what I mean? And don't look at the clock, rushing to get out of there for, have a couple, whatever, beers or, social life is tough. It's a tough thing. I mean, like I said, but keep your foot on the gas, learn as much as you can, work with some great guys. There's still a lot of talented guys out there. And it's global food now. It's not just basic American and Europe, French food back when I was younger. There's global food. Every ethnic group in the world is, and there's some talented guys. Learn as much as you can, travel.
I love it, Chef. I love it. Come in early and travel are definitely two of the biggest things that'll get you up there in this industry. For sure. Showing your dedication, your commitment, and then learning as much knowledge as you can, it'll get you over the top. Go for it, Chef.
No, but I think, I talked to Lerman, I worked in Japan 32 years ago. You couldn't buy a panko breadcrumb. So when I went over there, I'm European trained, a lot of Japanese were as well. I worked in French restaurants there, but I'm like, I thought I knew a lot about, the food, and I was dumbfounded when I went over there. I'm like, I was dumb, but I learned, and I ended up having a relationship with a lot of chefs over there. Any questions? I mean, that was before cell phones and everything. So, I mean, I have thousands of pictures from working over there, the plates, the food. And I learned so much back then, Mira, different soys, all the ingredients. And I was trying to do my homework before I left, before I first went over there. But I get over there and I'm like, I just threw it all away. And just, what I did, every day I learned.
That's what it's about.
Every day.
That's what it's about. Well, it's been so amazing having you, Chef. We've learned so much. We loved hearing your stories. And not only will this call impact those listening, but it's going to impact those that are connected to them as well. And here on this call, we have made history.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm so glad you were a part of our journey. And see you guys on the next call.